Dave Palumbo here with an RX Muscle supplement and science review. Lately, I've been receiving a lot of emails from people who are suffering from joint pain. Not only just, I'm not just talking about like shoulder or knee pain, I'm talking about lower back pain, any articulating surface where there's bones, on bones with a little cartilage between, hopefully, that's going to be considered a joint, okay, in the body. So you can pretty much get joint pain in your neck, you can get joint pain in your lower back, you can get joint pain in your hips, your feet, your ankles, and people are always asking me what to do. Dave, what's the best solution? And obviously, you can go for therapies like deep tissue massage, you can get adjustments at the chiropractor, but at the end of the day, a lot of the reasons why people are suffering from joint pain is because they don't take any of the necessary raw materials into their diet that would help with the repair of joint and connective tissue. We don't eat cartilage in our diet, okay? We don't eat ligaments and tendons. We don't eat whole animals. We trim the meat. We eat the actual, just the skeletal muscle flesh, which is why when you eat chicken and fish and beef, and then you work out, you pack on a lot of lean muscle tissue because that's the building blocks of lean tissue. But we don't eat the stuff that basically comprises the joint and connective tissue, and that's a problem. So when you go to the gym and you break down some pec muscle, okay, but you start wearing away at the pec tendon a little bit, or the insertion into the shoulder joint a little bit, and then you don't take any raw materials in terms of the foods you're eating to help repair that, over time it wears away and you get a lot of inflammation in there and you start getting pain, and then ultimately a lot of times the cartilage completely disappears and you wind up bone on bone and you need a joint replacement. Happened to me, my shoulders. I had very, very loose joints, which gave me great flexibility, but not a good idea to be bench, or shoulder pressing 315 with that kind of loose shoulder joint. And I probably rubbed away the cartilage, and I never really took anything supplement-wise that helped me to recover until later in my career, once the damage was already done, because no one really knew about what to do back in the late 80s, early 90s. Today, we have a lot more knowledge about that. And you can take nutritional supplements that are building blocks, raw materials essentially of the joint connective tissue. One of the most important ones being glucosamine sulfate. Now, usually when you hear glucosamine, you also think of chondroitin sulfate. Believe it or not, glucosamine actually can be converted in the body into chondroitin sulfate. So really the glucosamine component is the most important. There's also another supplement out there known as MSM, methylsulfonylmethane, which is kind of like, if you ever heard of DMSO, that cream that you can rub on, it's kind of like an oral version of it. It's a biologically available source of sulfur. Sulfur is found in very high amounts inside the connective tissue, cartilage, and joints and stuff like that. So you really don't get much of that from your diet, so you need to supplement with that. So MSM is a great supplement to take. So the duo of glucosamine and MSM seems to work really well with joint repair. What people don't realize, and a lot of people go to, they go to GNC, Vitamin Shop, nowadays they go to Amazon and they buy a glucosamine supplement. Maybe if they know something about what they're doing, they'll buy an MSM supplement as well. And they'll take, maybe 1 or 2 grams of each a day if they're smart, and they get no results. We've all done that. A lot, I can't tell you how many bottles of the glucosamine I bought back in the day. Even, when my joints were hurting me and no one else was using it, I was reading about it. And I was using it, but I wasn't getting any results, and I never finished the bottle because I didn't get any results from it. So I did a deep dive, and I really started to think about what was going on, and I said to myself, if I'm going to take a protein supplement, would I take like a teaspoon and put it in like a Dixie cup full of water and drink it? I mean, theoretically, I'd be taking in a protein supplement, but would I be doing enough? And the answer to that obviously would be no. There's a certain amount you have to use, right? 30, 40, 50 grams of whey isolate before you're going to get a benefit out of it as a meal replacement. Well, same thing with glucosamine and MSM. If you don't take enough of this stuff, it doesn't do anything. So I started experimenting with it, different dosages, and I realized that when I got my dosage up to about 4,000 milligrams of glucosamine, which is 4 grams, and 4,000 milligrams of MSM per day, I started getting joint relief. I got more lubrication in the joints because glucosamine can be a precursor and cause synovial fluid production, which is the lubrication system of your joints. It also will start to repair the joint and connective tissue because it's giving the body the raw materials now it needs to replace those components or fix those components or repair those components. It's not till you reach the 4-gram threshold. Now, when I decided, to start Species Nutrition at some point in time back in 07, 08, one of the things I wanted to produce was a joint product because no one was selling glucosamine and MSM together, and they weren't selling it in high enough dosages. You had to buy 5 different bottles, and you'd go through the whole bottle in a week because they were putting small dosages in these bottles because they just wanted to make a profit on the stuff. So they knew the stuff worked, but no one really knew what the right dosage was. So I said, I'm going to make a month's supply of this stuff, and I created Arthrolyze, the original Arth. This is Arthrolyze Elite. I'll tell you about this in a minute, but created Arthrolyze. It was 4 grams of glucosamine, 4 grams of MSM with some chondroitin in there and boron. Boron is very important mineral, or I guess you could say metal, that's important in repair of connective tissue. So that's what the original Arthrolyze was. And if you took 5 pills twice a day, and once again, the reason you have to take that much is because you got to get, it's hard to stuff that many. Think about it. If you're taking 8 grams of glucosamine and 8 grams of glucosamine and MSM combined, okay, you can't put that in any less than 10 pills. So you have to put that in 10 pills. And then you got, of course, some boron in there, and you got some chondroitin. So it's a 10-pill serving size. Now, ideally, glucosamine and MSM would be great if you could just scoop it out like protein and mix it into a protein shake. But it tastes so terrible that no human being would be able to imbibe it. You have to put it in capsules and swallow it in capsules. So we did that, and the results were tremendous. A lot of people were calling me up. I had people from like Adela Garcia when she was winning the Fitness Olympia. She had torn her ACL and she got it repaired, and I put her on Arthrolyze, and she was getting tremendous healing results. The doctor was super impressed. And so many people over the years have used this product and raved to me that thank you, changed my life. And so, how do you make a product like this better? Well, there was some research that came out initially, and I knew about it, but the product was very expensive. And here's the science behind it. I know you guys love science. You like to geek out on the science. I do too. In your intestinal tract, you have immune cells. A lot of people don't realize that. They're called Peyer's patches. And the reason they're called patches, they're found in different places all over, just like they're not connected necessarily, but the different groupings of these things. And they're spread around the intestinal tract. And a lot of people didn't really know what they were for originally, figured it out. When the food that you eat goes through your intestinal tract, they get exposed to these immune cells. And then the immune cells say, oh, okay, this is food the person is eating. So when the food gets digested and absorbed into the body, and into the bloodstream, the body doesn't react to it as a foreign body because the Peyer's patches tell the immune system, okay, this is something we just ate, this is a food, it's not a foreign body, we're going to use this food to help, build tissue or repair this, repair that, use it as energy, whatever the case may be of the food you're eating. Sometimes that Peyer's patch system doesn't work quite right, and some foods don't get exposed properly to Peyer's patches, and then you get what's called food allergies. So let's say some people who are allergic to peanut butter, for instance, for some reason the Peyer's patches didn't recognize the peanut butter proteins, and when they get into the bloodstream, what happens? The person has an allergic reaction, and then that person can't take in or eat any peanut butter. Okay? And that's just one example. Now, here's the problem with the joint and connective tissue. When you damage, let's say your shoulder, for instance, when you're in the gym, you're doing some benching, and you happen to rub some cartilage off. Underneath the cartilage that's in your shoulder, okay, there's collagen, which is just it's a form of connective tissue. This collagen protein is not something the body normally sees because there's usually cartilage covering it. So when it gets exposed, the body sees it as a foreign body, and the immune system comes in there and tries to reduce inflammation initially. But a lot of times, if it sees that as a foreign body and it's not healing, it continues to attack that area. So your immune system actually makes the situation worse over time. and it goes from an acute or a short-term injury to a chronic, which is long-term, painful joint. And no one really understood why this had happened. Like, why would the immune system continually attack the body's the body's joint connective tissue area? And then someone came up with this idea. You know, we don't eat whole carcasses, you know, like other animals do. We don't eat connective tissue. We don't eat collagen in our diet. What if we gave small doses of intact collagen, okay, to a person orally as like a supplemental form? So what they did was they went and they got chicken sternum, okay, and they call it type 2 collagen. They actually call it type 2 undenatured collagen, meaning they haven't subjected it to any enzymes, they haven't heated it in any way, they've just basically purified it into like a powder and put it inside a capsule, and they had the person ingest them. And they did studies on this. And they showed that people who had joint pain, when they took this UC2 collagen, undenatured collagen, in very small amounts, it was like 40 milligrams, they noticed that the pain level and the inflammatory reactions in their body decreased. And what they surmised through the experimentation was that these Peyer's patches were being exposed to this oral undenatured collagen that the people were eating that looked almost identical to human collagen, even though it came from chickens, and it sensitized the Peyer's patches of the immune cells. So now the immune system was basically told, hey, this is food. Don't attack. This is something that's not a foreign body. And what it did was it alleviated the long-term chronic inflammation in the joints. This product became available probably 10 years ago. And I knew about it. But when I looked into it, it was very, very expensive because it was a proprietary formula. You had to pay a licensing fee to use it. And I just, at the time, it just would have made this product cost prohibitive. I was at a Supply Side East show maybe about 5-6 years ago, and I saw them advertising UC2 Collagen. They had a booth there, believe it or not. I went in there, I talked to them, and I was telling them, you know, they said, oh, you know about this? And I told them what I just basically told you, and they're like, whoa, you understand this product better than we do. I said, well, I love it. I want to use it in my product. It's just too expensive. He's like, well, you know what? The price dropped recently. We found a better source of it. And so to make a long story short, we worked a deal, and now we use UC2 collagen in addition to glucosamine, chondroitin, boron, and MSM in the Arthrolyze Elite. This product is the best joint replacement repair product on the market now. It has so much great technology in it. It has the raw materials in the right dosages, a month's supply, plus the UC2 collagen in the right dose. I'm telling you, give it 2 to 3 weeks to work, 5 pills twice a day with meals, and you will thank me, and you will tell me your joints never felt so good, even if you have really bad joints. And to be honest with you, I believe that the last 8 to 10 years prior to me getting shoulder replacement, the reason why I was able to endure and get through, you know, and not have to have problems sleeping at night, and why I didn't really have, you know, I had pain when I used my joint, but I didn't have pain at rest, was because of this product. I really do. I really think it extended the life of my shoulder, and which was a good thing because the shoulder replacements, when I finally did get mine, had just got upgraded, and they were like 100 times better than the previous one. So it was good that I waited, or I probably would have had to get another shoulder replacement at some point in the near future if I would have gotten it, you know, 10 years ago. So thank you. Thank you. You could thank me for my research that I did on myself, because you know what, I was in so much pain that I had to find a solution. But it's a great product, and it makes sense. Even if you don't have joint pain, why wait? Why wait till there's injury? We know that when you go to the gym, you break down muscle tissue and connective tissue. We know that you only eat foods that repair repair skeletal muscle. They don't address the connective tissue. You must take a supplemental form of something to repair joint and connective tissue. If you do not take a threshold 4 grams of glucosamine and MSM, both of them at 4 grams per day, you're not doing enough. You're not taking enough, you're not going to get the results you want. Give Arthrolyze a try at speciesnutrition.com. I promise you, you'll thank me. Dave Palumbo with another RX Muscle supplement and science review.